Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Fatihah Ishra binti Abdul Rahim. So today our group will be presenting on liberalism. Liberalism can be defined as a political philosophy that put individual freedom at the center of political life. Liberalism holds that government is important to protect people from harm, but it also wants that government itself can become a threat to our liberty if it has too much power. There are two major figures shape liberal thinking. Firstly, John Locke believed that all individuals have natural rights like life, liberty, and property. He argued that government should only exist with the consent of the governed. Second, Adam Smith believed that society grows strongest when people are free to follow their own interests in a system with a private property and a competitive market. He warned against government overreach in the economy. There are two types of liberalism, which are classical and modern liberalism. Classical liberalism is similar to what we call libertarianism today. It views the state as the biggest threat to freedom. It supports a small government with limited powers. The government's main job is to protect individual rights. It promotes free market with minimal interference in economic activity. Why modern liberalism shift the focus a bit? It recognizes that freedom can also be limited by private power, not just government. By corporation, for example, can restrict opportunities or exploit workers. Modern liberals support government action to regulate the economy and provide social service. They believe true freedom includes access to things like education, healthcare, and jobs. This liberalism goal is to ensure that everyone has a fair chance to live a free and fulfilling life.
Now I would like to explain about the main points. The first main point is optimism about cooperation. First, liberalism is built on the idea that human beings, and by extensions, states, are capable of rational cooperation. This optimism is rooted in Immanuel Kant's concept of perpetual peace, where rational states will prefer peace over conflict. In practice, this belief shapes modern diplomacy through things like arms control agreements, trade deals, and environmental pacts. All examples of countries choosing to work together rather than compete. Next is the importance of democracy in liberal thought. According to the democratic peace theory, liberal democracies almost never go to war with one another. This is because democratic leaders are held accountable by the public, constrained by checks and balance, and monitored by a free press. These internal features may make it harder to justify or initiate unnecessary wars. Next, liberalism also highlights the role of international institutions in promoting global stability. Organizations like the UN, WTO, and IMF help reduce the chaos or anarchy in the international system. They set norms, encourage communication, help resolve disputes, and coordinate global policies. These institutions also reduce transaction costs, make action more transparent, and hold states accountable, all of which increase the likelihood of cooperation. Lastly, liberalism highlights the power of economic interdependence. When countries are tied together through trade, investment, and financial systems, the cost of conflict becomes too high. This is the foundation of the commercial peace theory, the idea that global capitalism creates mutual benefits that countries don't want to risk by going to war.
Okay, hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nukarima Ifa binti Arjuman. So now I will explain about the analysis of theory. Let's begin by looking at the core arguments put forward by liberal theorists. There are three major points that define the liberal perspective. First, liberalism argues that absolute kings matter more than relative kings. What this means is that states are more interested in improving their own well-being than in comparing how much others are gaining. In other words, it's not about who gains more, but about whether everyone benefits. This idea supports the belief that through cooperation, particularly in trade, where cooperative advantage come into play, all states can thrive peacefully and simultaneously. Second, liberalism highlights the importance of domestic politics. According to this view, what happens within a country, its institutions, its interest groups, its national values, significantly shape its foreign policy. So, rather than seeing states as unitary, black box actors like in realism, liberalism opens the box and looks at how domestic pressures influence international behavior. So the third is liberalism stress the role of international institutions, organizations like the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, and international law framework are seen as crucial in promoting stability. They create predictable rules, reduce uncertainty, and foster cooperation among states by providing clear expectations about behavior. This predictability helps reduce conflict and builds trust over time. So now let's go to the next part. While these ideas offer a hopeful outlook on international relations, liberalism has not been without criticism. Many argue that its optimistic view doesn't always match the realities of global politics. One major criticism is that liberalism underestimates the ongoing relevance of power politics. Even in today's world, states often prioritize national interest and military strength over cooperation. Strategic competition, arms race, and unilateral actions still occur, sometimes even within the framework of international institutions. Another critique is that liberalism assumes states will always favor economic or institutional cooperation over security. But in times of heightened tension or perceived threats, states may abandon economic partnership in favor of military alliance or defensive build-up. Security remains a top priority, and liberal theory sometimes fails to account for how quickly it can overshadow cooperation. So the last one, finally, liberalism struggles to explain why democracies go to war or why institutions often fail to prevent conflict. While the democratic peace theory claims that democracies rarely fight one another, history provides counter-examples such as the US involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan. Moreover, institutions like the League of Nations and even the United Nations have failed at times to prevent genocide or war, showing the limitation of relying solely on institutional mechanisms for peace.
Now, I will explain about the impact of liberalism towards international relations. The first one is institution building. One of liberalism's most significant contribution was its influence on institution building in the aftermath of World War II. Liberal thinkers and policymakers have created key institutions such as the United Nations UN, the International Monetary Fund IMF, and the World Bank under the Bretton Woods system. For example, United Nations UN, created after World War II to promote peace, security, and cooperation. Liberal ideas of collective security are at the core of its charter. The other is International Monetary Fund IMF and the World Bank, created under the Bretton Woods system to promote global economic stability and development through multilateral cooperation. These institutions were designed to promote development and manage the global economy collaboratively. The formation of European Union (EU) also reflect liberal values, especially the ideas that states are tied together. International institutions are not just tools of power, but mechanisms for achieving mutual gains, reducing mistrust, and ensuring collective action. The second impact is promotion of democracy and human rights. Liberalism emphasizes the importance of democratic governance and individual rights. In international relations, this has translated into consistent effort to promote democracy worldwide. Organizations like the UN, European Union, and non-governmental organizations (NGOs) have worked to support democratic transition, election monitoring, and human rights protection. For example, there's several interventions in countries like in Kosovo 1999, NATO intervention to stop ethnic cleansing, justified by liberal humanitarian principle. East Timor in 1999, international forces intervened to restore peace and human rights. In Libya 2011, intervention under the responsibility to protect R2P doctrine to prevent mass atrocities have been justified at least in part by liberal arguments about the international community's responsibility to protect population from human rights abuses. This shows how liberal values justify and influence foreign policy, particularly in peacekeeping, democracy building, and also multilateral diplomacy.
For the third impact of liberalism toward international relations, there is economic integration. Economic interdependence is another cornerstone of liberal international relation theory. Liberals argue that when states are economically connected through trade, investment, and financial system, they are less likely to engage in conflict due to the high cost of disruption. They want to find another way, an option such as to having a good neighborhood state or country relationship, and that this doesn't want to have only dependence with this type of support system for their economies. This belief has driven the creation of global and regional trade agreements such as the World Trade Organization (WTO), North American Free Trade Agreement (NAFTA), and Association of Southeast Asian Nations (ASEAN). This institution and agreement reflect the liberal assumption that a global market can foster peace by aligning the economic interests of states. Lastly, the impact of liberalism toward international relations is conflict resolution and peace building. Liberalism also informs how the international community approaches conflict resolution and peace building. This goes to some countries that has big conflict and commonly known that having a problem in their country, such as Sudan and Africa. Liberal principle support the use of diplomatic negotiation, international law, and multilateral peacekeeping to resolve dispute and rebuild societies after the conflict happened. The United Nations, or known as UN, peacekeeping mission, for example, often combine military presence with institution building, human rights promotion, and also civil society development. This all consistent with liberal ideas. Additionally, international legal institutions like the International Criminal Court (ICC) serve liberal goals by enforcing norms and deterring future abuses.
In summary, liberalism provides a compelling framework for understanding international relations through cooperation, democracy, and economic ties. While it faces criticism for idealism and its inability to fulfill explained power-drive conflict, liberalism has shaped the post-World War II global order through institution building, trade liberalization, and democratic promotion. It remains a vital lens for analyzing international affairs in interconnected and globalized world.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Anisha binti Bonandar and I'm from Group 1. My question is, what are some criticisms of liberalism in international relations? Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Anis for the question. So for the answer is, critics say liberalism is too idealistic. It assumes that all states want peace and that cooperation is easy to achieve. Realists argue that power and security are still the main concern for countries, and that liberalism can explain why democratic or economically connected countries sometimes still go to war. Others point out that international institutions don't always work effectively, especially when powerful states ignore the rules.
Hi, my name is Siti Nadira binti Muhammad Amin and I'm from Group 2. I want to ask, how is the liberalism is different from the realism? Thank you.
Thank you, Nadira, for the question. The answer is realism sees the international system as anarchy, where states must rely on their own power to survive, often leading to competition and conflict. Liberalism, on the other hand, is more optimistic. It believes that states are not only self-interested, but can also work together through democracy, economic interdependence, and international institutions. Liberalism argues that conflict can be reduced and cooperation increased.
My name is Ahmad Farizan. I'm from Group 3. And for my question is liberalism still relevant in today's world? That's all my question. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. My answer is yes, although it faces challenges, global crisis, rising nationalism, and power politics sometimes make liberal cooperation difficult, but many international institutions and peace efforts today are based on liberal principles, showing that the theory still shape the international relation. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Farhan. I'm from Group 5. My question is, how does the liberalism explain the globalization? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. How does liberalism explain globalization? Liberalism see the globalization as a positive force that increase interdependence between the countries through global trade, communication, and also shared institution. States become more connected towards each other. This makes war less likely and it's encourage cooperation between the nation on the global issue like climate changes, poverty, and also world security.
Hi, my name is Aisyah. I'm from Group 6. My question is, how does trade reduce the chance of war according to liberalism?
Thank you, Aisha, for the question. So the answer is, according to liberalism, countries that are economically connected are less likely to go to war, because conflict will hurt both sides financially. For example, if two countries rely on each other for goods, energy or markets, going to war will disrupt their economy. So economists create a powerful incentive to maintain peace and resolve disagreement through diplomacy.